I saw the trailer for The Long Walk and thought it was a really interesting concept, especially coming from the mind of Stephen King. I'll be honest with you, all I heard was Stephen King and I was pretty much locked in. But the concept is that 50 young men enter a contest where you're required to walk no less than 3 miles per hour or you'll face deadly consequences. The objective is to be the last person walking and receive a life-changing monetary reward, national acclaim, and one wish. I went to the early screening a few weeks ago and got a chance to see how this film played out in theaters, and it was a pretty good time. Like, if Stand By Me and Squid Games attended a freak off session, this film would be their offspring. The dire outcomes of this competition are not only a walk to remember, but a stroll for the exclusive rights for your soul. Let's talk about it.
1. Let's get started.
Peace and good things, family. I hope everybody's doing all right. Turning the microphone back on to talk about another film that I got a sneak peek into in the wonderful city of Atlanta, Georgia, The Long Walk. I'd like to thank Janelle and the team over at the MRKT Company for another opportunity to see a fun film before its official release. It was directed by Francis Lawrence, based upon the book by Stephen King that I mentioned a little bit earlier. It stars a lot of great people, but specifically the focus, the antagonists. We got Mark Hamill, Star Wars icon. We got Luke Skywalker playing in The Long Walk. I feel like there's a joke somewhere there in there. Anyway, he plays the Major. Cooper Hoffman stars as Ray Garrity. David Johnson from Alien Romulus is Pete. He does a fantastic job. Garrett Waring is Billy, and Ben Wang as Hank Olson, who did a great job and was absolutely the comic relief in this particular film. Great cast. Now, I was initially going to do a spoiler review, but now that the project's out in theaters, we can get a little bit more into the specifics of the opportunity. This film is categorized as a horror, but I feel like it's more of a thriller suspense with some gory horror elements. The writing and setup of the characters is very solid. The producers really took their time and allowed us to watch each person involved introduce themselves organically as the film unfolded. There was tension from the first frame with the boys on the road all the way up to the last man standing. The story takes place in a dystopian version of America where the opportunities to rise above your economic and authoritarian oppression, regardless of the risk level, were met with great enthusiasm by anybody who is desperate for a better life outlook. Similar to Stand By Me, we get a chance to see these characters break down their perspectives as we watch them navigate the challenge of trying to stay at the minimum speed of 3 miles per hour while dealing with fatigue, weather elements, overall health issues, and of course, the diversity of personalities and energies that are along for the journey. Ray is looked at as kind of the main character, and I would agree with that. He's like the others, he's very reluctant to enter this deadly competition, even though it will help him rise above his particular circumstances. Ray's a mama's boy, and he's also very heavily influenced by his father. All the other characters were motivated by money and everything that money brings, but Ray's reasons were a little bit more rooted in purpose and family, and we'll get into that in just a second. But again, there were 50 young men that entered the contest, but the film really focused on a small portion of them to kind of tell the story. Peter, played by David Johnson, who did a fantastic job, was one of the strongest of the group and had the physical and mental capabilities to either lead or follow, which is a gift. Ray and Peter formed an unbreakable bond that allowed them to be able to weather the extremities of what they were facing. The other young men all represented a slice of a different aspect of society. For instance, Hank, played by Ben Wang, was definitely the comic relief. Collie, played by Joshua Odrick, focused on life seen through the lens of some Native Americans in this country. Gary, played by Charlie Plummer, clearly focused on those within our society who may struggle with mental illness. And Peter, was definitely the manifestation of a strong person of color that had survived and thrived under these extremities their entire life. At one point in the movie, he actually even mentioned this reality to the group. He said something to the effect of, shoot, you guys are kind of struggling with this particular life and these circumstances. This has been my entire life ever since I've been born. So towards the end of the film, we're really shown the depth of this fortitude, and we really get an understanding of truly how strong of a character he is. Mark Hamill, who I mentioned earlier, aka Luke Skywalker, he was the ultimate antagonist, which is crazy because in the Star Wars franchise, he was listed as the New Hope. Gotta love it. He played the Major, the man that led the soldiers that rode beside the participants with M16s. He was the maestro of final conclusions that commanded a crew that was ready to kill anyone that fell below the 3 miles per hour limit. tried to attack the other soldiers, or veered off the assigned walking path. As I said earlier, it started like Stand By Me, a group of boys all walking on the road, telling stories and sharing life experiences, some bonding, some in conflict. There was the typical banter that you would expect from a group of young men in search of riches and opulence. But the reality hits that this is a dangerous competition when someone falls below that 3 miles per hour. It got real quick. The gory horror elements really began at that point and continued throughout the movie. The producer of this project gave an up close POV of what it really looks like to be taken out at close range. Like, this tension sets the tone for the rest of the film, and no matter what obstacles the characters overcome on the walking path, there's still this black cloud following them that threatens their existence if they don't keep moving forward. So, in this particular instance, progression is a gift as well as a detriment. Let's talk about it. After a lot of emotions, hundreds of miles of walking, and the elimination of 48 other participants, we finally get to the final two boys. It happened to be Ray and Peter being the final restless souls left, with both of them looking to sacrifice themselves for each other. I told you, their bond was really the glue that kept the boys together for most of the competition. Their admiration for each other carried them through rough terrain and trauma that created a brotherhood that really transcended their current reality. So, as I mentioned earlier, all the other characters' reasons for being in this extreme competition were centered around money, notoriety, and of course, the one wish. Whereas Ray's motivations were more focused around the sacrifice that his father made for his belief. His father went against the current regime led by the Major and actually lost his life to the Major as a result of that. Ray wanted to honor his father by getting revenge in terms of killing the Major for, of course, killing his father. But deep down, he really didn't feel like he had what it took to take a life. And it is a lot to be able to do that. So that's why in the end, he looked at Peter to do what he couldn't and sacrificed himself so that Peter could carry out what he could not. Well, the film ends with Peter completing this request as he walks into the void of a dark and unknown future. And it really made for an intriguing story with a lot of societal layers. Very well done film that's a great weekend watch or a great watch anytime, but really a powerful tale that really doesn't let up until the final scene. I highly recommend this movie if you like great suspense with some horror elements, if you're into a great story and something that is going to basically grab your attention from the first scene all the way to the end, this is definitely the film for you. But for those who already saw it in the theaters, what did you think? Did you like the ending or did you prefer a different outcome? What was your takeaway in terms of some of the messages they presented? Would you go see it again? If you have not seen it, I definitely would recommend you going to check it out. Make sure you tell a friend to tell a friend, subscribe, like, share, all of the fun things. Let's talk about some other movies as we go along. Algernon's October. Let's go.